Good morning, YouTube. I'm still in downtown Dayton at Riverscape. I'm just killing a little bit of time. I got some business to do down here this morning. But I'm going to continue the theme of political discontentment in various political topics. And this next topic is one that really has the nation, torn, and people. I'm going to talk about in this video the lesser of the two evils. That's a common, term and theme you hear thrown around when it comes to politics, especially when it comes to presidential elections, voting for the lesser of the two evils. And of course, many people have various opinions on that, depending on the interest that you're trying to protect and what you really want. I've seen a few videos online, where independent voters and swing voters talk about that they just can't really trust either Hillary or Trump, and for good reason. And the thing that, people are tired of having to vote for, the lesser of the two evils. I think one reason why Trump appeals to so many people, because he's not really a politician. He's a businessman. And people are sick and tired of politicians on both sides of the aisle, both Democrats and Republicans, dominating the political landscape. And a lot of people feel that the two-party system is broken, and with both Hillary and Trump, you can't really trust either of them. Although I do trust Trump a little bit more on a couple issues, which I am going to elaborate on that here. But I think, in regards to, Hillary, the big issue is, obviously national security, the war, and will she continue certain things that are more socialist in nature down here, socialist in nature. And of course with Trump, I think, I think the big thing that I fear with Trump is he's all too eager to fight people, and some of his issues are, divisive that he's trying to promote, but I think there is some good that needs to happen. I think we really have to, ask ourselves, with this, why do the Democrats want to keep letting in Muslim refugees and Muslim immigrants with all the terrorism, and Trump wants to put a stop to that? And I think on certain things, I think he is more trustworthy, but I'm not really sure by how much. But this country right now is in major trouble, and we're massively, broken. And a lot of the evil that's, supported, like the Girl Scouts came out in support last night. There was a thing that they celebrate Hillary winning the nomination. Of course, she's very pro-abortion, and a lot of people don't know this. The Girl Scouts push that agenda on people. Push that agenda, So, I think in regards to, being able to keep the country safe, and as far as, being willing to stand up and protect people, I think Trump is a better option outside of us, you know, getting into another, you know, war, because I think he's clearly is going to focus on our national security as far as, you know, we need our immigration laws overhauled massively. We need to stop these sanctuary cities, you know, which Dayton has become, and he's clearly committed to getting the house in order in regards to that. And Hillary is just wants to continue more of the same. You know, she supports these sanctuary cities and these open borders as far as our as far as immigrants and refugees go, as well as the whole Democratic Party. Now, the Republican Party is not without guilt on this as well, people. You people got to realize, too, President Bush allowed Mexicans in by mass, too. He wanted them here. And, of course, you know, he earned a good amount of the Hispanic vote because he allowed them in. And, you know, they're not really so much of a problem outside of, you know, the cheap labor and, you know, them taking some of the jobs that Americans don't want to do for a cheap amount of money. You know, but, you know, we're basically, you know, in a real precarious position in this upcoming election. I only trust Trump on a few different issues. I think, you know, some of the issues that have really raised eyebrows, especially amongst conservatives, the really ultra conservatives in the party, you know, when he's, you know, talked about, you know, like Planned Parenthood, which conservatives are very against that, when he said that Planned Parenthood outside of abortion does, you know, good things. And then when he talked about, oh, there should be some form of punishment for a woman for abortion, that's wrong. And Hillary is just as evil too, although she'll never say a woman, you know, deserves to be punished for that. But that's basically a lot of the choices that we're, you know, left with. So, you know, we need to start getting candidates in office who actually represent our best interests at heart, who don't represent a certain lobby, who have the interests of the people at heart. So trying to decipher, you know, the lesser of the two evils, it's becoming harder and harder. And I do think, you know, to me, if the Democrats end up winning this election with Hillary, they're going to be set up to dominate the Oval Office, I think, for the next 20 years. I mean, I don't think we'll see another Republican in office for a really long time if Hillary gets in office. And Trump, he's not a traditional Republican, although, you know, there have been articles I was reading a while back that said he's more of a throwback to what the party was, you know, 40 to 60 years ago, that he does have, you know, more in common. So, you know, he has a wide appeal with, you know, blue collar white workers, you know, lower and middle class whites. He tends to be quite popular, and people are just tired of the political landscape in general, and they view, and I think those people view him as the lesser of the two evils, because they're tired of the two-party system dominating things. And Trump is actually a way to actually, you know, break the insanity and to have a fresh face with new ideas. I mean, he's not afraid to say what you don't want to hear. I mean, you know, politicians that are entrenched for a long time, whether they're Democrat or Republican, Hillary, of course, being a politician for a while, her husband, of course, being president, they're always going to tell you what you want to hear. They're not going to tell you what you don't want to hear because they don't really want to upset you. Trump is refreshing from the standpoint of he is not afraid to say what needs to be done and what you don't want to hear. There's too many. I know personally I could never vote for Hillary And as far as being able to vote for Trump, ultimately, that's ultimately what I'm going to end up having to do to keep Hillary out of office, or at least to do my part. You know, a lot of people are torn about the issue, and whether or not how much good could come out of a Trump presidency remains to be seen. I have many questions about that myself, and many concerns about that, but trying to decipher, you know, the lesser of the two evils between somebody who kills our troops and is a pathological liar, and somebody who, you know, is will continue the open borders policy and immigration, and is going to continue to force the gay agenda and many other issues down our throats, not trustworthy. But neither is somebody who advocates for some of the stuff, you know, that Trump advocates. You know, and also, being in a swing state, I cannot recuse myself from voting in this election. I have to make a choice, because Ohio decides elections. There has not been a president that has won Ohio since 1960, JFK. So this state is far too important. I know some people who are the real ultra-conservative Republicans who have said they won't vote for Trump or Hillary. They live in states like that are, well, Republican dominated, so their vote doesn't really matter as much, because they could lose a vote or two there and still carry the states they're in, like Alabama and Georgia. But in Ohio, every vote counts. And, you know, we have to really ask ourselves, I mean, if the best that we can do as a country is what we've chosen between Hillary and Trump, we're in massive trouble, people. We're in just massive trouble. Like I said, I really don't want to vote for Trump, but I ultimately trust him more on a few different issues. But my number one thing is, when he gets in office, I do not want to see us into another Mideast war with another Muslim country. We cannot afford this, and ultimately, Trump will be all too eager to fight them people, but Hillary will get us into a war as well, because ultimately they're going to force her to fight. Because with all the evil that's taking place right now in North America, with the police shootings, people attacking the police, all the social issues, and what's happening in Europe, I mean, people are on edge and less trustworthy more than ever now. And we've got to ultimately make a choice, you know, with this election. You know, I think it's ultimately, do we take a gamble with somebody like Trump, who has some volatility issues, but who could bring some fresh ideas and a different change to the White House? Or do we want to continue with more of the same old, you know, party-dominated politics with Hillary, because we're afraid of change? But I'm going to go ahead and, you know, end this. But I'm going to get ready to wrap it up here soon on this, because I've talked about this enough, and I'm sure I'll, you know, talk about this more in other videos. But we have to really ask ourselves, you know, what is the lesser of the two evils, and what are we really voting for? But that's it for this one.